Welcome to Game Changers live from Miami, Florida. My name is Sergio Tigera. I'm your host. And each and every week, we bring you someone who has been a game changer in their field and who's touched the lives of thousands to get their perspective on their journey, their mindset, their struggles and successes so that we can inspire you on your journey. So let's get started right now. And welcome to Game Changers live from our FIU studios in the College of Communications, Architecture, and the Arts. Thank you so much for joining us. You can catch us each and every week on your favorite podcast station, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, as well as social media, and also on Island TV, Mondays and Thursdays on Comcast. So thank you so much for subscribing. Your support means the world to us. We're now a top 2% podcast ranked globally by Listen Notes. And my guest today is none other than Mr. Dean Brian Schriner from the College of Communications, Architecture, and the Arts, where our beautiful studio is housed. So welcome, my friend.
Thank you. You're obligated to interview me if you're here.
It's absolutely a pleasure to have you, buddy. This partnership that we've developed has been very special, not only because it's helped Game Changers grow, but we've also been doing a lot with the college and helping them out as well with students and different connections that we've made here on the show. So it's a pleasure to have you, my friend.
Thank you for that.
No problem. No problem. So FIU, let's start here a minute. So FIU, I'm a two-time grad. There's a FIU is a huge part of this community in South Florida. It's turning 50 this year.
Just like me.
Exactly, just like you, born at the same time.
Around this.
And the college that we're in is about 25 years old, right?
The School of Architecture.
Right, the School of Architecture. There you go.
The college itself is a little bit younger, but yeah.
All right, fantastic. So, give me some background on you. So you were born up north. You're not a native from South Florida, but you've been here quite a long time. So give me some of that background.
I was born just north of Pittsburgh in a little town you may have heard of called Beaver Falls, Pennsylvania.
Of course,
Joe Namath and others. Yeah.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Nice.
Joe Namath.
Did you ever meet him?
Of course. Joe Namath went to Beaver Falls High School. I went to Blackhawk, which is a subsidiary of Beaver Falls High School.
Oh, okay.
But my grandmother. He lived next door to my grandparents.
No,
so my grandmother was his babysitter.
You're kidding.
That's right. And then he took my aunt to the prom. And his nephew, Frankie, was my center when I was the quarterback at Blackhawk.
No kidding.
Small town.
Oh my gosh.
That's my whole life.
I can't imagine playing him in high school football or at any level.
From there. Well, he's a little bit older than me. But his nieces and nephews are my age. Yeah.
Wow, that's fantastic. Yeah. That's interesting.
So I was born in Beaver Falls, a little town north of Pittsburgh. But anyone who's from that area, Western Pennsylvania, sort of identifies with Pittsburgh, and that stays with me. And I went to the University of Pittsburgh, and then didn't graduate from Pitt, but transferred from Pitt to the University of Miami. And
So are you a Steelers fan?
I am a Steeler.
Uh-oh. There you go.
I was blessed to be able to go to all of those games in the 70s and all the Super Bowls.
Nice.
I still go back and forth as much as I can to go to the games. Still have season tickets.
So you went, you grew up in Pittsburgh, and then you went to Pitt as well. What'd you get your degree in?
Which one?
Your undergrad. Your undergrad.
Political science.
Okay.
Political science, and then from political science into communication, and I dabbled in Middle Eastern affairs and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Ended up with org psych.
Wow.
My background, yeah.
Wow, fantastic. So then you came over to South Florida in the mid 80s. What was that like for you? Why? So you came down to UM.
I came to UM to study. That's why I came to UM to study. And I thought I would be like most people on vacation for a couple of years at the U, which was then called Suntan U.
Yeah, exactly.
It was a different U at that time.
Wow.
I came down, and then I've been here ever since. I stayed, went to graduate school at the U, and then there was a position open at FIU. And they asked me if I wanted to fill in for a professor who wasn't able to finish the semester.
Right.
I started. The first question I asked is, where is FIU? Because I wasn't familiar with South Florida. And they gave me the directions to get to campus.
Just head west.
Pretty much.
So you hit go to the Everglades.
Go to the youth fair. I knew where the youth fair was. And then it turned out when I came here, the position was actually at the Biscayne Bay campus. So I started at FIU, but I came to the wrong campus.
That works. It gets confusing sometimes. Yeah. So then you start off as a professor, And what is it that you liked? I mean, is that what you wanted to be? You want to be a professor?
I wasn't really sure.
Or you just kind of started dabbling?
I wanted to be in government, and then I enjoyed teaching. And when I was at UM, I was assisting the debate coach, and I came to FIU to start a debate team. So I enjoyed that. But I still don't know exactly what I want to do.
Right.
Even today, I'm not 100% sure what I want to do.
You're looking for your second career and seeing what happens after that.
I'm open.
Yeah.
But FIU has been so generous to me.
Right.
South Florida as well. And I think that's why I never left. I really enjoyed here. It's home.
Yeah.
FIU in particular is home. I started as an adjunct, part-time faculty member, and been blessed.
And then you kept taking on different positions, different roles within the university, and then
couldn't hold a job.
Yeah, couldn't hold a job. I love your humor. So, and then you get to when do you become dean?
2009.
All right. And what was that like when you were first asked to be dean? Did you feel like, yeah, I'm ready for this, or did you have a bit of imposter syndrome? Kind of saying, wait till they find out I'm not really sure what I'm doing.
I still have imposter syndrome. So
right.
No, I wasn't ready for it. In fact, the founding dean, who's a good friend and still here, still on our faculty, had decided that he was going to step down. And the then provost, I was his associate dean of academic affairs. The then provost asked me he asked me for a meeting. So I went to the meeting sort of with the thought maybe they were going to let me go.
Better start looking for a job.
Yeah, and he asked me, would you be interested in serving as the interim dean? And I had, surprised, but I said, yeah, on a few conditions. And one of those conditions was that I would not be a candidate for the permanent dean.
Oh, really?
And he kind of laughed and he said, oh, I would never pick you as the permanent dean. I'm asking
a vote of confidence
dean.
there.
So no, it was good.
Yeah,
it was good. So.
But why wouldn't you want to be why didn't you want to be the dean?
Well, I didn't know I was ready for that yet.
Right.
Yeah. And then I was interim for a couple of years and then realized that, yeah, I was ready. And more importantly, the folks, my colleagues, felt comfortable with me, so to speak.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, you have a very easygoing personality. Your reputation precedes you in terms of being a very kind person. When you take on a leadership role like you have, and the fact that you've lasted this long in this role, it speaks volumes to your leadership style, your leadership philosophy. Tell me about that. What is it? Is it something inherent just about you, your gut feel about how you treat people, how you lead people, or is that something you learned along the way?
I don't know. Honestly, I thought about it. I don't know the answer to that question. I think it's just who I am. I don't know if it's a leadership style or philosophy. I just think that's how people should treat people,
right? Like
they want to be treated. Life is too short to be angry and upset, and But again, yeah. I've had a lot of blessings. It's fairly easy to be nice to people when so much has been given.
Right.
So many opportunities, and FIU, without question, has been very, very kind and very generous. There was a vice president here for many years, Rosa Jones.
Yeah, of course. I remember Rosa. Yeah, as an undergrad.
Rosa was asked, why did you spend your entire career at FIU? And I never thought I would spend my entire career at FIU, honestly. But they asked her why. And she said, because every few years, and it stuck with me, every few years FIU reinvents itself. And it's like working at a different institution.
Yeah,
and that's true because the university continues to grow. This is our 50th anniversary of admitting students into the institution. It's now one of the fastest rising universities in terms of rankings.
Right.
Several top 50 rankings, some top 10 rankings. Our School of Architecture is ranked 16th in U.S. public institutions, and the list goes on. But it's not about the ranking itself.
Yeah.
But while all of that has changed, its mission of serving the community has stayed the same.
Right.
I often call it access to excellence. So we're U.S. Fifth, I believe, in enrollment, fifth largest U.S. public institution.
Right.
And that's grown as a result of Miami and South Florida growing and being able to serve the needs of the community. But at the core of FIU has always been serving those who make up the institution.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
My mom worked here for a number of years, for I think it was about 20 years or so. And one of the things she loved about it is like if she felt like it kept her young because she was always hanging out with students and, and seeing the new change going on. That
they
probably
get younger every year.
They get younger every year, right? We stay the same age, but they get younger. It's the opposite.
But when you ask me about a philosophy, I don't think I really had a philosophy. I think I've grown up here. So the way the university has treated me or trained me or molded me or shaped me is who I am. And I think I reflect the institution as a whole.
Right. Is that something like having a thick skin? Is that something that you develop over time that you kind of learn to handle? Because I think that's an important lesson for a lot of people in the sense that things are going to happen, right? Things are going to go sideways in your life and you're going to get down on yourself. And so, how do you get past that? Do you learn how to deal with adversity better over, what has been some of the kind of tricks in your trade or in your mind that has helped you?
Again, I don't know if I have an answer. I mean,
right.
100% works for what works for me has always been this idea that sometimes no is the best answer. It may be not what you want to hear sometimes, and the way I want to go is where I really want to go, and I can't get there. And then in hindsight, maybe it was better we didn't go there, or we went slower to get to where I wanted to go. So, I've always had that. And then again, there's so many other things you could. So if I wanted to do X and I can't do X, there's always Y, or no means no.
Not yet. Right.
So there'll be another opportunity.
Sometimes it's timing.
It's timing, and also understanding that, you're not alone. So as a dean or president or anyone, people are dependent on you making good, wise, ethical choices. And sometimes no keeps you from doing something which may not be in everybody's best interest in the long run. So hindsight's always 20/20.
Right.
But try to keep that in mind.
I think having creativity is probably one of the key attributes of success these days, not only for students, but in staff as well. We've also heard grit, and that to define our students here over the years, because they're, they're hungry. What would you say if you see students these days? Is it still grit? Is it resilience? What's going to be the key for this generation to succeed?
50% of our students in our college are on Pell Grants, which means they're probably, in many cases, the first one in their family to go to college. So it's also about entrepreneurship and innovation, right? They're doing something different, and they have this expectation that if I go to college, something good will happen to me as a result of going to college. So there's that moral obligation, one could say, on the university, on the dean, to make sure that the confidence they placed in us is not misplaced, right? It's not just, okay, you got in, now, good things will happen. Just get your degree. And
especially these days, that a degree doesn't necessarily guarantee you anything,
not necessarily.
as it used to.
And that's what our promise is to them. We'll give you a competitive advantage, right? Whether you graduate or you don't, the time you spend here will be time well spent.
Right.
So whether it's in the classroom, in the laboratory, in the studio, on a stage, being mentored by other faculty, the peers you meet, the activities, the maturity, the successes, the failure, all of that will make you a better person upon wherever you're headed.
One of the things that I see affecting students and young people these days is that we're more connected than ever, but they're lonelier than ever, because even though they're connected, via their phones, the relationship capital and relationship equity, I think, is lacking, right? And their ability to be social, like we used to be in the past. I kind of want to say back in my day, but the advent of technology and then COVID and everything else. Do you find that students are a bit more lonely, perhaps, or the mindset issues?
I haven't experienced that, honestly.
Okay,
I understand that could be a possibility, but I haven't experienced it. What I have experienced is they're exposed to much more information than ever before. So that could create also a sense of loneliness, because there's a lot of despair, because we have access to so much information. We know so much more than we did before.
Right.
And many of the problems seem insurmountable when you're not really sure where you fit in all of that. That can also create a sense of loneliness, not just the fact that they're not hanging out in small groups all the time. They're mediated communication, some sort of digital.
Right.
I think, but in my mind, it's more the fact that the instructor in a classroom is no longer the sole owner of knowledge.
Right.
What I know can be found any place online.
Yeah.
So it really is about what else you bring to the relationship between professor and student, and peer to peer as well.
Yeah.
They don't need to rely on each other so much to get information. There's so many ways of getting information. So I don't know if that answers your question.
See, but I mean, that's interesting then, because it's about, because if you start thinking, okay, nowadays you can just get your degree online, you can get it, you don't have to step foot on a campus, right? So what's the differentiator? Why would you step foot on campus? Is to have those in-person experiences. And like you said, the teacher can't just teach the book. What's the added value? Like, what are you bringing that they can't learn out there?
For some learners, a completely online digital experience, and the way that online degree is structured, there is some interaction, but it's not the same experience of being on a campus. So if you have the opportunity to be on the campus and your life circumstances permit it, I would encourage it.
Yeah.
I think you get more out of your college experience. However, in a community that's about access, a university that's about access and adult learners, sometimes you don't have the luxury, so to speak, of spending all your time on campus. You have a family, you're trying to work, you're upscaling your skill sets, you need to work, you have other obligations. So also offering a multitude of pathways to be able to get to the goal. And the experience will be different, but you earn the credential, but you may not have the other intangibles that go along with that credential.
Right.
And I guess it depends on where you are in your life and what you feel you need to get that competitive advantage upon graduation.
So 20 years ago, we look at what it is, what it's like to be a student today, and what the education system looks like today. It's vastly different. I mean, there's obviously a lot more complications. What is the future of education in general, right? And at FIU 20 years from now, what is it going to look like? And I think 20 years ago, the jobs that are in demand now obviously didn't even exist back then.
Correct.
And so, how is that dynamic going to change as technology continues to accelerate? There's, new jobs that we haven't even thought about yet. What's that going to be like? What in your mind?
That's been true for many, many years. Way back, I remember the secretary, I can't remember his name, I apologize, but Secretary of Education under President Clinton said the jobs that universities are preparing people for now don't exist. They won't exist. Right. So the university experience is not always about training someone just for a position, but providing a skill set. And again, I've used the term a few times, competitive advantage. So you have more opportunities with that experience and credential. Where higher education, it has to continue to evolve. Higher education today is very different than it was in many ways than it was several years ago. What hasn't changed is the 120 credit structure. Like it takes 4 years and accumulation of credits. I hope that changes over time. I don't know if it still serves us well as a country to have this number 120 credits to get.
And what would that alternative be? Right? It'd be like,
I don't know, but you see more badging, you see more upscaling, right? You see, but I think there's a value of that long experience, but then there's also a value of some shorter experiences with more intense training. And we still have the same 3 credits for most classes over 13 weeks. So as the world changes, I hope education will continue to look at different ways of providing that experience, as well as disseminating that information to students. And I mean, COVID changed a lot in terms of Zoom and delivering content remotely. I don't know if it was the best way of delivering the content all the time, but it was the only way that was available at the moment.
Right.
But it shouldn't just be because it was convenient. Therefore, let's keep doing it, because we should be measured on the outcomes, not on the process per se.
Yeah. So micro learning has been now proven to be a very effective way to get content to stick, because a lot of times, we attend these 2-day conferences or, the full day trainings, and we're drinking out of a fire hose, and how much of it actually sticks and how much do we actually apply? Do you see that being more prevalent these days in terms of a more effective way to educate, and, saying, 10 minutes a day for 30 days versus, a class Monday and Wednesday and Friday?
I don't know. Again, I don't know, but I think for certain learners, providing a variety of ways of delivering the content can only be beneficial.
Right.
As opposed to
giving them
with
options.
the traditional way.
Sure.
So I don't know if there's been enough research to see if it's better. It may be better because it's quicker and easier, but I don't know if it's better in the long run.
Right.
I don't know that. But my point was we're still delivering this innovative curriculum in the same model that
of credits. Yeah. That
200 years ago. We're still doing it that way. So I don't know how innovative it is, to be honest with you.
Yeah. So you guys have done some really interesting things in the iStar lab. So tell me about that and tell the viewers what that's about.
Yeah. Through the generosity of Mr. Lee Kaplan, we created the Lee Kaplan Immersive Studio for Altered Reality, or iStar. And essentially it's a facility. Now we have 3. We have one on the Biscayne Bay campus. Which is 151st and Biscayne Boulevard.
Yeah.
We have one here on this Modesta Medique campus, which is in our library.
Right.
And we have one in Wynwood. We have a facility in Wynwood, again, through the generosity of Moish Manna. It's called CARTA Manna Wynwood.
Nice.
So these facilities, iStar facilities, enable our students and faculty to engage with immersive and emerging technologies in support of creativity, storytelling, but you can make digital humans there. We have volumetric capture studios. So you walk into the studio and within seconds, there's a digital image of you created that can be put in any environment.
And it's a 360 image. So
360 top.
Yeah. So if you haven't seen this, I guess we'll put some overlays so you can see what this looks like in the studio, because it's pretty impressive. But if you're just listening, it's essentially you have cameras just 360 all the way around. You kind of think of the Matrix kind of style, right? But also on top and the bottom. And that's great for also selling products, right? Or kind of showing objects and different types of things.
Real estate, movie making. It's great for training. They've used it in the military. They use it in medical to train for surgery. Go into a burning building. You can recreate the building and there's less risk.
Yeah.
Our robotics lab uses it to teach how to operate robots in a 3D and digital environment. So yeah, the applications are endless.
Wow.
But the technology is sort of just starting. So it's about, engaging with this immersive emerging technology. And in our disciplines within CARTA, College of Communication, Architecture, and the Arts, it fits perfectly. And that's why Mr. Kaplan felt comfortable investing in us. And
then you also, on the journalism side, you have a lot of, partnerships with NBC, with Telemundo, I believe, or Univision, and they're getting a lot of great experience, real world experience there as well, right?
Well, it fits our mission. So the college's ecosystem that we try to create is, again, as I mentioned, if you're going to have confidence in us, and you don't need a degree in many cases to do what you aspire to do in music, in theater, in architecture, you do. But in journalism, you don't, right? In communication, you don't necessarily. So if you're going to invest in the time to get that skill set or enhance your skill set, we want to make sure you come out on the other end further ahead. Right. In order to do that, we partner with industry a lot to inform our curriculum, but also create the curriculum. So our students spend time at Univision. We have something called the STEP program. They created it, Univision created it, but the student to employment program, they are embedded in Univision. NBCU created the NBCU Academy. They invest in our students and their education. And we have those throughout all the disciplines within the School of Architecture. We have the integrated pathway to architectural licensing, where the students spend a semester or 2 embedded in an architectural firm where they can earn credits in support of getting their license, which you used to have to wait until you graduated to get the internship credits to get licensed. Now we started it so you can get the internship credits while you're getting your education. So it shaves a couple years off of their licensing process.
Wow, that's powerful. So there's a tremendous amount of resources here for students, which is, makes me very proud as an alum and being part of this, this College of Communications here. So my friend, thank you so much for being on. Hey, wait, let's go. I know you gotta go. We can keep going, but I know your time is limited. So guys, thank you so much for joining us. If you found this information helpful, powerful, make sure you share it with somebody who needs to hear it, because you could be a game changer, not only in your life, but in the lives of others. And make sure to hit subscribe and hit that bell icon so you don't miss an episode. My friend, thank you so much for being on.
Thank you. Thank
you. Game Changers.
Thank you.
All right, guys, we'll see you next week.
If you loved what you heard in today's episode of Game Changers, please subscribe and rate us. The lessons and the stories in these podcasts are immensely valuable, so I invite you to share them with a friend who needs to hear it. You may end up being the game changer in their lives.